Welcome to Zscaler Pulse, a podcast brought to you by the Zenith community team aimed at quick updates and discussions around cybersecurity, zero trust, and Zscaler products, services, certifications, and events, just pretty much just all the things. And I'm joined again, like always, my co-host, Huxley Dunsany. I didn't pause that time.
Yep.
I said it naturally and flowingly.
Practice makes perfect. You nailed
Yep.
it.
How you doing, Huxley? It's been a
I'm
minute.
good. I'm good. I'm excited to be back with you. And I'm
Yeah.
excited for our two guests. We've got two
Yeah.
very
So we
special
got
guests today.
see we got some guy now, just so you know, this has been in work since like June.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Okay. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute, but we've got two really cool people to bring on the show to talk about some generative AI. Oh my goodness. I swear, guys, I'll get it together. And who are they, Huxley?
Yeah. Well, first off, from the Zscaler team, we've got Aaron Rohyans, and I believe your title is Senior Principal Solutions Architect for Business Development, which is pretty awesome. And we
Oh,
are
cool.
very fortunate to be joined by Travis Niedens from Amazon. And if I'm not mistaken, you are a Senior Partner Solutions Architect. Did I get that right?
Yep, that's correct. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you both for joining. We're really excited to have you here on Pulse.
So what does a senior partner solutions architect at AWS or Amazon do?
So I work with security partners primarily, and the goal is to basically enrich the business relationship and technical relationship with our partners, right? So
Mhm.
I've been working with Aaron and Zscaler for over a year now, and basically we look at, how can we technically build the relationship better? How can we integrate our products and solutions better? And then, also coming up with new ideas. There are numerous ideas that Aaron and I have been working on generative AI specifically over the last year that help, Zscaler customers and also can be leveraged by AWS customers. So that's kind of what I do is help build that relationship and then grow it.
Okay. And Aaron, you're not new to the community. You have a lot of really cool things that are on our community platform already.
Mm.
But maybe you can just quickly summarize what you do here at Zscaler, and then also how does Zscaler and Amazon how has this relationship over the last year been fruitful, and what is it that we're working on together?
Yeah, sure. So, as you already mentioned, I'm one of the solutions architects on the business development team. And just to kind of tie in with what Travis said, my role is to work closely with folks like Travis within AWS to figure out how we can build a better together story. Like you said, Ben, you've probably seen a lot of my handiwork on the communities pages and things like that. I came from the Cloud Connector team, also known as Workload Communications. They've just kind of rebranded again to Zero Trust Cloud, Zero Trust Gateway that's out there now. So that was my former team. So I got a lot of experience with AWS and working with AWS, and that's kind of where I come from. But yeah, over the past year, Travis and I have it's been a lot of learning how this relationship should work, right? And I don't know if Travis would agree with me, but
I do agree on that one. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mhm.
it's a lot of there's a lot of dynamics. There's so many things going on within AWS and so many things going on within Zscaler. It is a classic, a lot of times the right hand doesn't know what the left hand's doing. And so being able to coordinate, hey, what we're doing within Zscaler, where does that insert with AWS? Where are some of the cool things that AWS is doing? Where can that insert with Zscaler? One of the interesting things I like to bring up here, and I'll shut up, but at Zscaler, we're really focused on securing users. That's kind of our bread and butter, right? What is interesting about AWS is they're more focused on workloads, right? I mean, like tons of stuff runs in AWS, but it's usually from a workload perspective,
Mhm.
stuff that's doing stuff for those users. And so it's an interesting dynamic of learning where we can take a lot of those user principles and, insert them into workload security principles. So that's what we try
That
to
is
do.
pretty
Yeah.
that is pretty cool.
That is really cool. And I don't know. Just thinking about the dynamics of that relationship, I guess it's almost like any healthy relationship probably requires a lot of communication and a lot of checking
Right.
in with each other to make sure
We
things are
talk
moving.
daily, either text or via email. So yes,
Yeah,
yep, that does
makes
You
happen.
sense.
guys
What
just
was
had
on the
lunch
menu?
yesterday.
Yeah, we actually just Travis and I had a huge workshop with Zscaler engineering
Awesome.
uh,
Yes.
last week in Seattle. That was really productive. So yeah, we get to see a lot of each other.
Yeah, and to Aaron's point, that workshop to me was very unique, and it was a very great learning experience. Actually, when I joined AWS, I asked my director, "So, what would make me successful here?" And she said, learn as much as you can about your partner's solutions. And that workshop was really eye-opening, just really, really, really eye-opening because not only was it technical, but I could see the team dynamics within the engineering team from the Zscaler team about you got some people here talking about this possible solution, some here with this one, some here with that, and then they feed off of each other, and then what we're presenting, right? Myself and other members from the AWS team. And so it was really great to have that on-site experience and learn about the team dynamics, not just the, where the bits go and how things flow, right? So it
Right.
was, to me, that's really important. To our business relationship as well, right?
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
makes a ton of sense. The topic of generative AI, it's already been mentioned a couple of times, and we're
Yes.
barely a few minutes in here. I feel like some variation of that term is in my ears or in front of my eyes 100 times an hour now. Like it's inescapable. It's everywhere I look. And I feel like it's been incredibly helpful in a lot of ways. And it's also introduced a lot of questions that I hadn't even considered what the answers might be, a year ago, 3 years ago. It wasn't even on my radar. So I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, like, as a starting point, what are you guys using Gen AI for just as part of your day-to-day lives? Like, how is it helping you or improving anything in your work or your lives?
Well, I can start with that if you want me to. So I started using it over a year ago, and I use it in everything. So I do weightlifting. So I have an app that tracks it, and then I can feed it into another app that will do an analysis of it and give me recommendations on how I can improve my leg day or arm day, right? I ask it questions about certain things like how can I optimize this? Or recently I said, hey, can you tell me about a product I can run at home on my NAS because it has virtualization where I can have it go out and pull my financial records and it's open source, like just something really obscure, right? And it's like, oh, here's this app. And I installed it on my NAS as a container. I'm like, whoa, thanks for the recommendation, right? I use it daily. And from a work perspective, we have internal tools that we can run documents through. So if we're doing, something with a partner, that needs to be blessed by marketing, I take that document, I run it through this AI service, and it looks at our style format and our recommendations, and also what marketing is okay with. And it puts an output and says, here's where you're okay, here's where you're not, here are the recommended changes. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
really
That's
cool.
cool.
So I'd say I use it daily in personal and work life to enhance, not take over stuff, but enhance
Hmm.
my life. So,
I
yep,
like how you made
It's
that
great.
distinction.
It's a
yep,
tool. It is a tool for
yes,
sure.
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Yeah. And how about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I'm much the same way. Life gets busy, man. Especially not only personally, but obviously with work and everything. And I use a lot of AI for document preparation, things like help me structure my thoughts and whatnot. I like to take a lot of notes on various things, and a lot of times I can feed that back into AI and let it help me structure a document, whatnot, a white paper, whatever the case may be. But well, actually, both my wife and I use it quite a bit. But one of the crazy things I use it for is ideation, right?
Hmm.
So I'm sure I'm not alone when I say this, but I feel like we're at a tipping point from an AI perspective in terms of if there's ever a time where you could come up with an idea and action that idea, right? Like say I'm not a computer programmer and I don't know anything about Python or I don't know anything about React or whatever, that doesn't matter. If I can come up with the idea now, I can use AI to action that idea, and so that's from my in my personal life, I find myself doing that a lot. Like I'll think of something like, I wonder if anybody's ever thought of doing this, and I'll throw it into some of the public AI services out there that'll remain nameless on this podcast
Yeah.
in the presence of Travis.
Well, I mean, if you put your idea out there on AI, now it's gonna be a product tomorrow. You know that,
Yeah.
Hey, well, I try to obscure it a
Yeah.
little bit,
They
like
say they don't do that, right?
right, yeah.
It's all of a sudden it's on it. Well, it's on Amazon.
Fine print
Hey
gets you
now.
every time.
Hey now.
Hey, it's
I
like,
hear
oh, I
where you're
can buy
coming
that
from,
for
though.
$9.99. That's awesome.
I get where you're coming from though with that, Aaron. Like I did a project a few months back where I don't know any programming. Like it's just not a skill that I possess. But I was able to use a couple of chatbots to write code that lets say 40-year-old Macintosh show the cover art of
Oh,
whatever I'm
nice,
listening to on Spotify.
nice.
It's completely pointless. It serves no useful purpose, and it's delightful. And I wouldn't have been able to
Nice.
do it without Gen AI.
So just to dovetail into that, a project I did that's very similar to it. I have a whole bunch of smart bulbs around my house,
Yep, same here.
specifically outdoor bulbs.
Hmm.
And whoever built this house prior, they have just tons of soffit lights, can lights and soffit lights all around the house. The whole house is lit up outside. And I thought, you know what? The heck with putting up Christmas lights. I'm just going to replace these all with smart bulbs, and then I'll write a script that essentially turns these bulbs into Christmas lights, and they'll all flicker at different, intervals and different
That's
colors and
cool.
stuff like that.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I did that last year. I built that last year, but yeah, I just thought of that when you said that, Hux. I was like, oh, dude, yeah, last year I did this little smart bulb script, and it worked great. You got to have a machine always running that script, but hey, I mean
Yeah.
that's what Raspberry Pis are for.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
Yeah.
most
Or you can make
useful.
it a container. You can make it a
Yeah.
container.
Hey, yeah, spoken like a true AWS essay.
Yeah,
Yep.
one of the most useful little DIYers is the Raspberry Pi, right? It's just
Yes.
Seriously.
it's a great little invention in the Swiss Army knife. I use Gen AI as well pretty much daily. I think I shared a story on one of our conversations before where I I write code as well. I do some coding on the side, but just as a hobby, nothing crazy. But I used to write like test-based driven type style of coding, right? Where you write the test
Hmm.
first and then you write your function. But now, and I'm sorry to say, but some of those unit tests out there are pointless. If I can take a function and I can ask AI to unit test it for me, I
Mm.
don't have to take the time to write the unit test, and I can pass in what I want it to, evaluate or whatever the case is, and it'll spit out what I think it should be spitting out. And so it helps me a lot with unit testing and also finding those pesky commas that you always seem to
Mhm.
forget somewhere along the
Yeah, you're
lines.
forgetting commas and semicolons. Yeah,
But
I did that.
so coming back to gear to for more of like a professional, because this is a cybersecurity podcast, but I mean, whatever, right? Gen AI is not only just professional, but it's in our lives, right? But what are some of the most recent breakthroughs that you can think of from an enterprise perspective that is kind of shaping Gen AI usage at the enterprise level that you've seen either at AWS or here even at Zscaler?
Do you want to go first on that one there, or do you want me to
Sure,
start?
I'll throw out the softball. Uh, maybe the elephant in the room. Yeah, maybe the elephant in the room is a better term, but agentic AI. I mean, everybody was talking about generative AI, up to what was it, a year ago, and then all of a sudden, or maybe a little longer, but um, agentic AI, became the new cool toy that everybody has to have. And when you really look into it, it is pretty sweet. The autonomous nature of these agents doing things, ridiculously powerful in a lot of cases, and what they can do. But as far as breakthroughs go, and cool developments within the world of AI, that's up there for me. And Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Travis?
I think that, and I even tell my kids this, there's two layers of, at least two layers of AI. There's AI that people see in the daily, and then there's bleeding edge or cutting edge, right? And I think some people in the industry, or maybe us included, can see or peer into that cutting edge, right? So, for the sake of like a podcast, like Agentic's great, right? We're going to see that kick off a lot, I think, next year. Even in some of the conferences we've spoke about, where people can use a whole agentic stream to do things like paying bills, scheduling flights or itineraries for things, and so forth. But when you look at that bleeding edge that's coming, because I'm always looking up here, right?
Yeah.
You already have rumblings between, and I actually get really excited. I even do team presentations in my own team about stuff like this, about what's coming down in the next, 3 to 5 years instead, right? So Agentics is, here for the next year or two. I think beyond that, people are going to start using, and I even do this today, like home knowledge bases, right? So things that kind of drive your life, like, hey, I go to Costco and I look at my phone, I'm like, an agent already filled out what I'm going to pick up, right? So I don't have to go through and look at,
Mhm.
this or that. And that can be for any store,
Predictive
frankly.
AI, predictive
Yeah,
AI
Mm.
is
yeah,
doing it.
yeah, yeah. It's
That'd
like it
be,
does a heuristical analysis. Like, okay,
yeah.
Travis usually it's a lot of chicken, a lot of beef, a lot of salmon. He really likes rice. He does green beans. So let's make this and then find the best place to get it for the cheapest price. And Trav, go here, right?
And then it
Or
just
even
shows up at your doorstep.
that's true. I like manually doing it, but it could be where it's
Yeah.
dropped off, right? Feeding, and that's to your point, a great idea of like feeding that in to vendors, right? There could be like a whole
Mhm.
API chain of feeding it to your home vendors, right? So I see that coming, of where it's built into your daily flow.
Yeah.
But beyond there, there's already rumblings of like, yeah, we've been using these GPUs and building these big, huge data centers, but what about quantum,
I knew you were
right?
going to bring that up. I was actually going to ask
Yep.
you if you didn't bring that up. I was going to be very disappointed. I was like, "What about quantum?"
Yeah. So quantum is something that I don't want to go too long here, but I've been tracking since I was in high school. Not joking.
Mm.
Two books I read in high school. One is Hyperspace by Michio Kaku. I actually got to meet him at RSA in person a few years ago.
No
I got a
kidding. That's
signed book
cool.
by him and a picture next to him. Like it was like one of those like bucket list moments in my life.
Yeah.
Boom, nailed. And the other one was by Cliff Stoll, The Cuckoo's Egg, and it's a
Mm.
security book. It's actually like a mystery kind of thing where this guy, working in a university, caught a German hacker, right? Um, but since then, I've been really interested in security and quantum computing and followed it, so that's like over 30 years, right? And I'm dating myself. But that's coming to fruition now. Our federal government's already got NIST has already got standards for post quantum cryptography that were released earlier this year. They're now saying the like Q day, as they call it, where modern cryptography is cracked, is 2035. And I argue it's going to be sooner, right? But at the same time, we're seeing new and unique things come out in quantum computing from a hardware perspective and also algorithms that really make it where it aligns really well with the nature of generative AI, right? And if we could get it, where we could run it at room temperature, we don't have to worry about error correction anymore, and it's cheap, much like old computers, CPUs,
Yeah.
it's on, right?
Mm.
So I don't want to take too much time here, but
No,
you brought it
no.
up, the
Hey,
events. Yeah,
but one thing I'm finding out by doing this, and Huxley, you can back me up. Whenever we bring on really smart people and are passionate about specifically AI or emerging technology, it's hard to keep them at bay because they want to say all the things, and it's great because
yeah,
Yeah.
if you guys are not saying stuff, then no one's gonna know about it, right? And I think that's the
Yeah.
whole point of it. So, and
Yeah.
Huxley, I know you had some questions about, well, that was all great, right?
but
But we got to be responsible, right?
Yeah, and it's something I kind of alluded to it earlier, but like
yeah,
these tools, they're evolving so fast. And sometimes when any new product or industry evolves really quickly, sometimes the pace of technological development can outpace the development of principles and guidelines for good or responsible
Mhm.
or ethical usage. And I know we've just got a couple minutes left here, but if you have any thoughts, elevator pitch version of a response on that topic, it's something that's on my mind all the time. Like, how do we do this right so that we can look back 20 years from now and say that was the right way to do it?
I'm going to go back to what we originally spoke of when it comes to Zscaler. We're focused around users, and one of our primary sayings, I guess, if you will, is you can't have zero trust without identity.
Yeah.
Mm,
Um, and so far, when it comes to responsible use of AI, identity has really lagged behind when it comes to responsible use of AI. And not only that, but because identity has lagged behind, so has policy and any kind of
mm,
granular policy that we can wrap around AI. And I think, at least from my perspective, and Travis can back me up or refute me here.
I'll
I
probably
think
back you up. Yeah.
I think identity is one of those things that, especially in my dealings with Travis and AWS moving forward, that's one of the key components that I'm going to focus in on and really want to focus in on is let's solve this identity challenge because I believe if we solve the identity challenge, all of the other stuff can fall into place. All of the cool policy and stuff that you want to do with AI and whatnot, and be able to use AI responsibly. And you can sleep well at night knowing that, my agent's not going to blow up a database. If you've looked at LinkedIn recently, um,
Yeah.
a lot of that hinges on identity and what that agentic identity can do within your organization, what it's allowed to access, what it's allowed to, the commands that it's allowed to execute, and so on and so forth. So I really feel like identity is that real key
mm.
um, cog in the wheel, so to speak, to uh, execute on safe use of AI.
I have to agree with you on that one too, right? Because Travis brought up really cool bleeding edge ideas, and you did as well. But it's that can help me, but if it helped me, my identity, me as a person, but somebody else could use that information for nefarious things, and
Yes.
having the identity of that person, understanding that this is an actor that's out here, how do we corral and contain that is,
Mhm.
I think, the biggest question in my mind. How can we use AI essentially to prevent malusage, right,
Mm.
of the technology? Because if I can write a program for my video game, then somebody can probably write a program to hack something, right? Um,
They already have. There's a
Yeah.
Worm GPT. That's a service you can pay for a lifetime subscription, and it'll help you hack any website there is on the internet and more. Right. So
Man,
it's already
script
there.
kiddies have really evolved.
Oh yeah, it's a full on service. Like you can open tickets, like, and they'll like do feature requests. There's tech support, and yeah, it's an industry now. It's a whole new industry.
Mhm.
So that exists. It's there. So yeah, yep, it's a problem. So,
Well, we're going to keep the conversation going, and we're going to keep on the Pulse podcast, because I think this podcast is aimed to bring this type of conversation to our audience. And I want to thank Travis and Aaron, and of course Huxley, for coming and hanging out with us and talking about this. And I love the partnership between Amazon and Zscaler. I love the technologies and the way that we're going. It makes me feel great for who I work for and who I get to hang out with on a day-to-day basis. So that's amazing.
Ben and Hux, I have a shameless plug if you don't mind.
We
Uh-oh.
love a shameless
You
plug.
feel free to cut this if you
We're
want.
gonna be.
Yeah, right. We did just co-author a blog with AWS on responsible and secure use of AI and kind of how Zscaler and AWS play that game together. That's on the AWS APN blog portal. If for those of our listeners that are
We'll get that
familiar
to
with
me,
that.
and I'll put it in the description of the video
Yeah,
down
let's
below,
include
because
that. That
that's
sounds
gonna be
awesome.
on YouTube. We'll have it on the community post as well. So Yeah, that's a really good resource. And one message from my sponsors. One of the cool, interesting new things that we just learned, well, I just learned today actually, was that our Zscaler certifications has been recognized by the ISC Square
Nice.
as a potential, as a way to waive experience by 1 year for your CISP if you have one of our 3 certifications. So if you go get Zscaler certified, I think it's the ZIA, ZDTA, and the ZDXA. If you get one of those 3 as of April 1st, I think 2026, that can count for 1 year of experience towards your CISP. So if you are thinking about getting your CISP or you're in that pipeline, go get your Zscaler certification and get a year knocked off.
That's
Yeah,
Super
awesome.
cool.
go
I've
us.
had that cert for 20 years, so yeah, I know
Ooh.
how that goes. Yep. Yep.
Awesome.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Well, thanks everyone again, and I will see you in the community. And until next time, cheers.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.